Professor Hornbeak here, teaching on the topic interactive design. So, on the topic interactive design, I just want to kind of explain what interactive design really is, and just the concepts behind it. So, interactive design is literally anything that is designed that you interact with. So, it can include so many things. It can include any kind of device that you touch, any kind of page that you turn on digitally. It can include so many different aspects of interactivity, whether it's with your finger or your entire hand, anything that in order to view specific information, you have to touch it or move. So in interactive design, just to think about design in general, there's so much design out there that we interact with. So for example, when you go to the playground, there are the people that create these playground equipment, they have studied how users interact with that playground equipment. When you go to a museum, there are certain museums and certain displays where it invites the users, the viewers, to actually touch the artwork and rearrange it or do something with it. Some places a lot of like farmers market, food truck type places, a lot of times will have lawn games. So that's, there's just so much interactivity in this world, and you can almost not go to a museum and not be able to play with something. So there's this element of play in so many things these days. And so designers are really, really interested in user experience. And if you have something on the wall that your users are supposed to or invited to interact with, how do they interact with, and will they know what to do with it, and will they be comfortable with it? So even within web design, you think about these things. You think about how the user interacts with a specific page, if they scroll or not, if they click or not, click on certain items or not. And there are so many different aspects of interactive design that can even be shown in a showroom. So here's an example of a Volkswagen showroom, and there are a lot of interactive objects in this showroom. So immediately at the very front is an actual car that you can open the door and interact with the car, as well as a screen that you can touch and view different information. And then there's all these really fun things over on the left that you can interact with within the showroom, and it just gives the viewer, a more fun experience with shopping for a car. Like, just, instead of just being a plain consumer, you can play with the idea of purchasing and understanding the brand of Volkswagen. And when you go to a restaurant, there's also an element of interaction and user experience, even in dining. So you'll notice that a lot of restaurants will have specific spacing between tables. There are some studies that show, that people have a comfort level with being next to a stranger to a certain degree in specific places. So in restaurants, they have these studies that show like specific table spacing equals comfort level when you're sitting in a booth like this where the tables are really close together. And of course I have to bring up IKEA, because who doesn't like IKEA? There's like a funny joke when you're married, like, you've survived IKEA if you leave with your spouse and you're still married. Because I can't tell you how many arguments we've had in IKEA. It's really funny. But it's just a very overwhelming space. And But IKEA has this great way of letting directing the user and where they need to go with these lit up arrows at on the floor. And so if you can imagine if IKEA was just one large room, like just imagine how big those places are, those buildings are. Imagine everything is in one big room and there isn't any kind of direction on where you should go. It would be just complete chaos. People would be running into each other. It'd be hard to see everything that you wanted to see or find an area of the store that you're looking for. So interaction and interactive design is really important within a really large space like IKEA. And here's just like a fun interactive way of showing off their products in a color scheme. So interactive design has been entered into a lot of really normal activities like ordering coffee or being at a restaurant. I don't know if you've ever been to a restaurant where you can order your food through an iPad or using an iPad. But if you haven't done this, usually the way it works is the iPad is there on the table, and instead of the waiter coming and getting your food and sometimes your drinks, you just pick up the iPad and order what you want, and then the server is there to give you what you ordered. So it's really dangerous for me when I go to places like this because everything looks good. It's not just a menu where it's just a list of text. It's actual pictures of all this yummy food and can be really dangerous. But this is an interactive way, like how lifestyle is changing with interactive design. And when you go to the airport, there are quite a few, there's a lot of interactivity going on in the airport that involves, for example, these little pads where you can read the newspaper, go on Facebook, etc. Here's another example of a restaurant you probably have been to at some point in your life, Panera Bread. So I really enjoy Panera Bread. My husband doesn't. He thinks it's overpriced sandwiches. But anyway, I really like it. But one thing about Panera that I really enjoy using this little touch screen to order my food is there's so many options out there, and this is kind of a visual representation of what I'm ordering, so it helps me know my options and order the food that I would like the best. And here's another example of how it looks when you walk into a large restaurant with ordering capabilities. And even McDonald's has picked up on this fast food restaurant. You can order from a screen and then pick it up at the counter. So in a way, it replaces, well, not in a way, it does replace customer service and people with a screen, and some people are more comfortable with that because they feel like it eliminates mistakes, and that the order will more than likely come out right if they can see it themselves and order it themselves. And then lastly, I have this example of user experience within a campus, whether it's a school campus or work campus. There's so many ways to think about how people interact with each other, and architecturally there's quite a bit of interactive design going on. So thinking about what spaces are used the most at what time and how those people interact with each other. So our building specifically they have all the offices together, and I don't know, nobody said that this specifically, but it creates this traffic flow where when students are on their way to class, they pass by all the offices, they can see who's there and say hi, as well as faculty will run into each other in the hallways, and students will run into each other in the hallways because that hallway where all the offices are is a very high trafficked area. Whereas if all the offices were, at the top floor or, in the basement floor, you wouldn't have those interactions. So interactive design can be implemented within architecture as well. So think about when just in your daily routine, how much interactive design you have. Like how does the car wrap around you when you get in it? Um, how does even like a, an appliance feel to you? Is it, is the water too high or too low? On the screen, or when you're going out to a restaurant, are you ordering on a screen? Is there an option to order with an app? There's so many ways that our lifestyle has been kind of bombarded with this interactive design, and how much thought has been put into it that it's becoming so normal that not having these services can really, we wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't know what to do with some of these services and some of this thought that's been behind design.